you could see what I see. Our communities in unity. No frustration from brutality. With our black nation, a reality.
This is my perspective, it's my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, it's my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, it's my perspective, my perspective, it's my perspective.
Welcome to another episode of the New Afrikan Perspective, the show that is dedicated to the liberation of new African people. I am your host, Brother of Prophecy, and riding with me always are the powerful queens, the
Mama Ayo
and Sama At.
And I know it's been a long time. It's been a long time since you've seen her or heard from us, but we are back, and a lot is happening. First, we have a new president and vice president. And guess what? They're right here on the New Afrikan Perspective. Welcome, everybody, to our president, Sama At, and vice president, Mama Ayo Deli.
Hey, free the land, free the land, free the land.
Yes, I am. I will by any means necessary. We will win this war.
Definitely. So just tell us, how does it feel now that you are the president of the Republic of New Africa?
Oh, it feels pretty much the same. Like, the mission is still the same.
Same.
We operate in collective leadership. So, of course, it may be more responsibility in terms of, what I'm supposed to be doing. Yet, the mission is still the same. I feel the same.
So what you're saying is, regardless to if you are the president or if you're just a citizen, you still putting in that work.
That's correct.
Okay. How you feel about that, Mama Ayo?
I totally concur, but now it's as if more people are gathering around us, being participatory, and making the work much easier, much more dynamic. We can actually see the different ministries mushrooming. Of course, the representatives are definitely involved, and we're literally seeing more, and I'm going to say this beautiful word, organization.
No doubt. Sounds great. Looks like we have a lot of great things ahead of us.
Absolutely.
Well, sister, should I say, Madam President? What do we have on tap for our show today?
Okay, so up first we have our current events. We are going to talk about Hurricane Haiti and sovereignty, and we'll also be discussing COVID and all the different things surrounding this pandemic, right? And then we're going to move into our Cadre Corner, and we will be discussing We Will Shoot Back by Dr. Akinyele Umoja. And then we're going to move into our Black Power Files, and we're going to discuss the most honorable Queen, Mother Moore.
Queen Mother Moore.
Yes. And then our main topic of discussion, our question posed is, what should we be doing to continue to rebuild within the New African Independence Movement?
Ooh, that's a heavy one right there, y'all.
It is. It's a great topic.
But I guess we got to start with the hot topics, what's been going on. And as you mentioned, what's going on in Haiti. And September 19th, if I recall that date correctly, Border Patrol agents were sent to brutally attack Haitian migrants who were trying to come into the country. And it was mainly white men, and they were on horseback. Just like they did the slave patrollers, just like the overseers on the plantation.
That's right.
And apparently there has been a 6-step strategy released from the Department of Homeland Security, which deals with so-called migrants in the Del Rio area down in Texas. And this is mainly Haitian, to target Haitians. And they're using this racist implementation of a policy called Title 42. Title 42, which basically allows them to take asylum seekers, because these are asylum seekers. They're trying to get refuge in the country, and they're allowing them to just deport them on a massive scale. Since September 19th, there have been on average between 5 and 8 flights of deported Haitians getting shipped out of the country. Now, all Human Rights Watch and human rights advocates have been talking about how this is racially discriminatory, how it is vicious, violent, and illegal, because it's against not only U.S. policy or U.S. law, but it's against international law. You know what I'm saying? So what we got to say about how they're doing our brothers and sisters from Haiti?
I just like to say that it is against human rights. It is humane, the treatment, the way they're being sent back, and they know the country is devastated. Mm-hmm. They've had earthquake, and they've had, of course, a hurricane. So you talk about people trying to seek refuge because they're homeless, basically. They don't have food, and they want to come to a better life. But then you have, at the same time, you have a lot of Afghani people who are trying to seek refuge because they're running from the Taliban, because they have been in collusion with the U.S. for the last 30 years, and they know people. You know who you are, and they're running, and yet they're being allowed to come in without any type of problem. So I want to know what is different. Why is it different? But we do know the history of Haiti. It is a sovereign nation. They did defeat not only England but France, and they've been made to pay since that time. And they're never going to be given what we call equal rights, humane treatment. Because what? A black nation defeating the nations of England? You know what that looks like and sounds like. So you do the math. I yield.
Yes, and it's quite interesting that they're being welcomed. Yes, come here for your refuge. Come, because we have refuge for you, because you, the ones that they are welcoming in from Afghanistan, are the ones that literally were supporters of the U.S. government in Afghanistan.
They sold their people out, basically.
They sold their people out.
Traitors.
So therefore, they are traitors to their people. So if they stay, they will die.
Yes.
They will die. And so the comparison, Mama Ayo said it perfectly. That's what it is. You have a sovereign nation. Now, we're not talking about what the leadership looks like at the moment, but yet a sovereign nation that is in seek of refuge. The U.S., knowing all this, and has really perpetuated a lot of the unhumane things that are going on in Haiti right now. Of course, it's war. We are looking at war. Nothing has shifted. Nothing has changed. We have to look at the empirical evidence. What is it that you see? When you saw the footage, what did you see?
No doubt.
Like flashbacks into history. And one of the things that I want our people to understand is that I heard someone asking the so-called conscious community, what are we doing? Initiatives are being done all the time. Food, clothing, and yet when these items are sent to Haiti, it doesn't get to the people, because if you don't send it through a so-called verified and bona fide church group, or of course any of the other accepted organizations, we don't see it. I'm sure there are a lot of churches, there are a lot of the benevolent organizations that are run by black people are sending lots of things to Haiti. But that doesn't mean that the people are getting it. And it's because we don't have the power or the clout to get it directly there. And that becomes a problem. It appears as if no one is doing anything except so-called white organizations, white churches, so on and so forth, SOS, Red Cross. And that's not true.
Yes, you all brought up a lot of good points. One thing that, just reminds me of, I remember a few years back, when this whole election versus Satan and the devil, Trump versus Biden, And everybody, people were saying, especially black people, was like, we got to get Trump out. Got to get Trump out, even though Biden got a long racist history himself, and people like us were like saying you're basically choosing between the lesser of two evils or the perceived lesser of two evils, because I can't tell you which one is more evil personally, but this Title 42, this racist policy, it was started. Well, it wasn't started, but it was implemented from the Trump administration. And Biden just picked it up and ran with it. And like you said, to your point, Haitian during the period of enslavement, they overthrew their colonizers. They defeated the imperial country of France, which was the dominant country of the time. They whooped Napoleon's tail. They're the reason why Louisiana is a part of the United States today, because Napoleon got whooped so bad by our brothers and sisters over there in Haiti that he had to sell Louisiana just so their nation could stay afloat. So the European power structure, the whole European world got together in cahoots to make sure that they attacked Haiti viciously. The poverty and the problems that you see in Haiti, they're not indigenous. They're something that was put on Haiti by the European ruling forces, because they never wanted that country. They never wanted independent black country, nation that defeated the colonial power to be successful. And that's one reason why you see them being viciously attacked, opposed to how you see the Afghanis, who Biden just earmarked $500 million for them to come over here and help them while they're here. Okay, what else has been going on? I know there's been a lot of talk about Biden when he made this new vaccine mandate, basically requiring any company that has more than 100 employees to require their employees to be vaccinated, and it's because it's causing a real big split between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. You know what I'm saying? What are your thoughts on that?
It's a lot of folks that are getting vaccinated just so they can go places, just so they can have a job, just so they can go places, all of that. And then on the other end is folks that's like, look, I'm not putting this poison in my body. I don't know what it is. It has not been tested for long enough. I'm not doing it. And it's going against my basic rights as a human. So it's a lot. I'm talking about a whole bunch of back and forth. It's doctors, health professionals. Some say, oh, it's harmless. Some say, nah. Look, I didn't even get it, and I'm a health professional. So it's a lot. It's a lot of conversation around it.
Yeah, I know it's thousands of healthcare employees in New York who are basically saying, well, I'm just going to quit my job opposed to get the vaccine. And the biggest argument that I hear from healthcare workers is that it usually takes between 15, 20 years for a vaccine to be created, tested, and then come to market where they say it's safe. Well, this is something that happened within 1 year, less than a year. So even if the doctors say it's safe, if what you see so far say it's completely safe, you can't get around the fact that this is experimental. You know what I'm saying? And what confuses me, well, it doesn't really confuse me, but what's obvious is that the powers that be are only pushing a vaccine. And any kind of other information is being suppressed. There are things that you should be doing that would actually help. They're saying that people who get sick from the vaccine are coming to the hospital with a vitamin D deficiency. But nobody in the mainstream is saying, well, look, you might want to up your vitamin D deficiency. You know what I'm saying? And they're saying the whole idea about natural immunity, which has been proven, which studies have shown that if you actually had the virus and you recovered from the virus, you produce an immunity to the virus that's stronger than people who have been fully vaccinated. That's shown out through studies in Israel, which was one of the first countries that really efficiently vaccinated their population. In fact, if you just look at what happened to Israel, eventually the vaccine started to wear off and they had more people who had been fully vaccinated getting sick than the people who were not vaccinated. So, it
That's
looks
what's happening here.
Yeah.
You're talking about a booster.
Exactly.
Why a booster?
Exactly.
Something's going on. We have the position under the Ministry of Health and Society under the Republic of New Africa is whether or not you choose to take the shot. There's still no excuse for you not fortifying daily, building up your immune system, staying away from mucus forming foods, which we know. Eating an excessive amount of meat. Mucus forming foods are white flour, white sugar, eggs, milk, cheese, when you should be encouraged to have a more plant-based diet. And then fortifying. Fortifying means you're taking your echinacea, you're taking your elderberry, you're going through the sea moss, you're doing everything you need, not taking too many supplements, but just trying to make sure that you fortify, just like we build ourselves for the flu season. Now you have to do it all year long because, COVID is real. COVID affects everybody differently. And my question is, why aren't they reporting the numbers of deaths that are occurring due to the vaccine? Because it is happening.
Oh, it's most definitely happening. And people are having so many different reactions in their body from their first shot.
Yes.
And from their second shot. And now they talking about you got to get a third one. And it's going to be going on and on and on. And I want to let you, the listener, know when COVID hit, that was like, I got extremely excited because that's the push that we all need. Now we got to make a decision what you going to do in terms of surviving all of this, because this is biological, biochemical warfare that we are experiencing right now. And so to reiterate what Mama Ayo just said, if we're not fortifying, if we're not living off the land, growing our own food, fruits and vegetables, because in a minute you're not going to be able to go to this grocery store if you're not vaccinated.
Absolutely.
They're going to be like, oh no. So now it's a force. If you don't want to succumb to the beast, got to make a decision. What do I need to do for me and my household? What do I need to do for my health and well-being? Because really the body is beautifully made. So we naturally adapt to environments. They put this out here. Eventually our bodies are going to adapt. Like Brother Prophecy said, we build natural immunity just by being in the environment. Your body is beautifully made. We have adapted to so many different things that have been constructed within the society, and we're going to adapt to this. Yet you got to do what Mama Ayo said. You got to fortify.
And I want everybody to pay attention. I want you to, if you decide you're not going to, versus those of us, because it's a family issue as well. Some are being vaccinated, some are not. I want you to pay attention to the potential side effects. They may not show up within a couple of weeks. They may not show up within a couple of months. They may have what we call prolonged effects. When we talk about their health, what kind of issues, things with your reproductive system, things all of a sudden you start having allergies, you may have skin problems, you may have all of these. Always refer back to, oh, you done got that shot. So this is what's happening. Oh, so this is what's occurring. Look at the elderly. What is occurring with our elderly? Are they starting to forget more? Are they starting to have confusion? All of a sudden, are they starting to have problems with their lungs? We have to pay attention because we are the study. So we've got to be documenting for ourselves. This is what has happened.
Exactly. And to go back to what you all, both of you said about fortifying ourselves, because like a lot of people, they have this phrase, follow the science. And the reality is people only follow the science when it fits their particular narrative. You know what I'm saying? I try to be as objective as possible. So I look at all the information. And one thing that, if you study COVID, one of the first things it does is it attacks what's called your innate immune system. Absolutely. So why hasn't anyone in the mainstream been talking about, hey, build up your innate immune system? One of the reasons why younger children, it doesn't affect them as much because they have a natural great innate immune system. If you notice anything, when you send a child to the hospital, it's usually because they have a fever. Why do they have a fever? That's their innate immune system attacking whatever's going on with them. So, you know what I'm saying? It's common sense. So all of the things that we've been talking about, as a matter of fact, before we even got to this phase, when we were doing the woke, we had a whole film about boosting your immune system. You know what I'm saying? So this, I'm not even going to tell you, take the vaccine or not take the vaccine. That is a personal decision that you have to make. And nobody should be trying to force you one way or the other. Exactly. But regardless to whether you take it or not, you always need to be boosting up your immune system, making yourself naturally healthy, regardless to whether COVID existed or didn't exist. We should be doing that anyway. You know, that should be step one of our healthcare program. You know, taking our health in our own hands, because we actually have the ability to decide whether or not we're going to get sick or not, decide our health. We have the ability to take the health in our own hands. We shouldn't be dependent on all these external forces to determine whether you are healthy or not, you know.
That's the spirit of go ahead.
I just want to add one more thing to add to what Brother Prophecy said, because he said something really important. Children are not being affected like that. You know why? Children don't have no fear. They ain't worried about nothing. Okay? They not. And it's a psychological thing too, because your psyche affects your immune system.
Exactly.
So they pushing fear on the whole population. Folks is worried and concerned, and it's breaking down their immune system, and that's how you get sick. Children, they ain't worried about that. My son said, I don't know, I ain't got it.
And we tell you, you know, clean your area, wash your hands, and when you're in certain places, yeah, you're gonna have to wear your mask. But we also say, if you're walking in the park, sitting at the river, by the beach, are you really gonna wear a mask, or are you gonna get that vitamin D like you're supposed to, and fortify your system as melanated beings? Eat them greens, them lima beans, them crowder peas, without, of course, pork and any kind of meat. Put your onions and your garlic in there. You know you're supposed to be sucking on a piece of ginger. We know what to do innately. And I think that you utilize those things that you know is going to be effective. You know when you get sick what you do. And you just continue to fortify and be safe. Be safe in your environment.
No doubt, no doubt. Well said, well said. So I think we have a Cadre Corner coming up. What we got in our Cadre Corner?
Well, we want to discuss one of our dear brothers of the New African Independence Movement, one of the founders of NAPO and the Malcolm X Grassroots. We want to highlight his book called We Will Shoot Back. And of course, this is Baba Akinyele Omowale Umoja.
Okay, all right, before you get in there, we're going to take a little break and we'll be right back with We Will Shoot Back. That's right here at the New African Perspective. Free the land.
Demanding freedom, I mean right now. Tired of George Floyd's in the mic ground.
Europeans murdered 98% of the indigenous population right here in Turtle Island in order to steal the land. An entire nation of African people were captured and forced into a brutal system of chattel slavery just so they could work and cultivate the land. All wars are fought over land, not over terrorism, not over religion, not even to win the hearts and minds of the people, but for the actual land and the resources within the land. So it is safe to say that land is the foundation to all freedom. So if we truly want to be free, then our struggle is for land. Free the land.
Study the writings, speeches, documents of our freedom fighters in order to free our neo-colonialized minds. This is the Cadre Corner. I want to introduce this book, We Will Shoot Back, by one of our scholars and elders in the new African independence movement, Baba Akinyele, of course, Omowale Umoja. He definitely is one of the founding men of NAPO, as well as the Malcolm X grassroots movement, and he's provided a really, really great assessment of Mississippi and the armed movement that manifested way back in the day, where you talk about all these different organizations and movements, and we know as New Africans how special Mississippi is to us, and he really paints a good picture of the very different towns and townships and individuals who may not be mentioned in large portions of history, but how they were able to form resistance to, of course, the KKK, the people who were against the civil rights movement, and how all of this kind of manifested. He talks about CORE, he talks about SNIT, he talks about ARM, he talks about all these different organizations and individuals, by the way, who actually participated in this particular armed struggle to make sure that they battled back against all these different what we want to call offenses to our human rights, even our civil rights, and how these women and these brave men were able to negotiate and navigate through this time period of history, and to actually give names. Some beautiful pictures are in this book, and for us to know whose shoulders we stand on, because we talk about armed resistance. Do we have the right to be armed? And of course, you know, our answer is yes, because he starts off with an assessment of the nonviolent aspect of our movement, and how we had to defend ourselves. We just gonna sit there and let them kill us, lynch us, shoot us? No. And that's why I encourage everybody, because this is a great scholarly work. Yes, we will shoot back.
Okay, and that is We Will Shoot Back. What's that author again?
This is Baba Akinyele Omowale Umoja.
Okay, all right. And where can we get this?
Well, I actually had the privilege of meeting him face to face, and at the time he did not have many copies, but you can Google it, and definitely Amazon and a couple of others. I think I got mine from Thrift Books, just kind of do a price comparison, but definitely you can order these online. Online.
So how was it meeting him, since you met him? What type of individual is he? Is he for real deal, or is he just somebody writing?
More than the real deal, because as I said, he's one of the founders of NAPO, Malcolm X Grassroots, great. Baba, definitely a historian, gave us a lot of information about our relationship with NAPO, the PGRNA, Malcolm X Grassroots, of course, with Chokwe Lumumba, and his role and function into the capital of the provisional government, and just knowing that our relationship is 50 years or so going, and how all of us as members of the new African independence movement kind of all knew each other, worked together, and even though we may have had a few different focuses, how it's still all related about freeing the land and making sure that we are people who are promoting self-determination and the 5 states in the South. That mission is ever clear.
No doubt. Excellent, Cadre Corner. So who we got up for our Black Power file?
Yes.
We're going to be honoring the Honorable Queen Mother Moore, who is the mother of the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa and the New African Independence Movement. The mother.
All right. So stay tuned. Right after that, Queen Mother Moore, Black Power file. Free the land.
Breonna Taylor, look, she ought to be here. Lil Tamir Rice, yo, he ought to be here. Leaders, scholars, freedom fighters, all those soldiers who've been struggling for the liberation of black people. This is the Black Power file.
I understand that you sent a petition to the United Nations in, I think, 1957 for reparations for the for the black people in America? Explain something about that to us.
Yes, the petition called for us to go back to Africa, for those who wanted to go back. And for those who wanted to stay here, there had to be certain indemnity given for the people who wanted to stay, the people who wanted to go.
What kind of indemnity?
Well, I was asking for $200 billion.
$200 billion
Dollars.
to indemnify.
Yes, for the injury that we have received. The injury as a result of our enslavement.
Okay, that's for our 400 years of enslavement.
Yes.
As reparations, we requested $200 billion.
Yes.
Okay, when you sent this petition to the United Nations, what kind of response did you get?
I got very good response. He told me that we needed a member nation to introduce the resolution since we were not officially members of the UN.
Is this with your work with the Republic of New Africa?
No, that was not. I was as a member of the Ethiopian Women, the Universal Association of Ethiopian Women.
I understand that you founded that organization.
Yes.
And what was that organization about?
To save our men from execution. They were being executed at the rate of 2 a week almost. There was somebody being executed.
Then unjustly executed?
Yes, we felt they were unjustly executed. And we tried to save some of them. We did save some.
Okay, welcome back to the New African Perspective, and you just heard the wise words of Queen Mother Moore, the Honorable Queen Mother Moore. You know what I'm saying? What y'all think about our queen, the queen of the New African Independence Movement?
She's my shero. That's all I can say. She's a shero. We know that she was there to guide and to let us know what we should be doing. We know that for us, the Legionnaires was named by her because she was a Garveyite, is a Garveyite, and she was one of the founding members who signed the Declaration of Independence. If she was not the first signer, she was definitely the second. And we know that her role and function at the beginnings of the provisional government was just stellar. And you know her work and her legacy is always about reparations.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Reparations, and she was also, for me, the epitome of what a new New African womanhood, right? Because we know that she most definitely founded some women's organizations as well. I can't remember the Ethiopian women.
Yes.
But she was always making sure that, you know, African women, new African women, and our presence within our nation, the new African nation, and in the world was known, and then made sure that we understood the principles in terms of how to treat our brothers. You know what I'm saying? And also being very feminine, being woman, but also being warrior. What that looks like. Standing for protecting yours, standing for your people, and protecting the family. Absolutely. You know, so she was most definitely like the full package.
Yes. Warrior queen.
Yes.
Yes, no doubt. And you said she was all about reparations. If my memory serves me correctly, she actually went before the UN and petitioned for reparations. And they told her, yes, we agree that they owe us reparations. He said, but you need to be a nation. We need to give reparations to the nation. And that's one of the, light bulbs comes on. We need a nation here in America.
Yes, exactly. And I had the privilege of, I didn't ever get a chance to meet her, but I actually heard her when she came to Ghana. She was televised on, of course, Ghana TV. And there she was standing and saying, don't you think we deserve reparations after everything they've done to us, the history? Because she was reminding Africa, as well as those of us at home here in America, first of all, we would need reparations if they didn't take us as enslaved Africans No matter how, if we were sold, if we were taken, if we were looted and booted, we deserve it because you had all these European nations literally decimate the continent by 2/3 over all this time from 1503 going, and some people say as early as 1443. So the history of us being taken out during the transatlantic slave trade was horrific. And you know what happened.
Yes, exactly. You mentioned that she was a Garveyite, and I remember listening to her tell this story that she likes to tell when she went to see Garvey in Louisiana, I believe, and the authority, the police, was trying to prevent Garvey from speaking, and he said we wasn't going down there, and they said everybody in the audience was armed, and she said she had 2 guns with her, and when they tried to prevent Garvey from speaking, everybody pulled out their guns and they said, "Speak, brother, speak."
Ain't nobody gonna stop you.
And Garvey just walked back up to the podium and said, "As I was saying,"
Right.
So that's
imagine being there in that space and place. Oh, wait.
Standing up to the power structure and saying, "No, you're not going to tell us who we can listen to and who we can't listen to. We make that decision." So,
and that is a prime example of self-determination. Kuji Shagalia.
Exactly. So you see why that sister, why that great warrior is our Black Power file. We'll be right back with our main topic. What are we going to be talking about? What's our main topic?
We are going to be discussing what it is that we need to be doing during our rebuild process of the new African independence movement.
Okay, that's a good one right there. That's a good one. We'll be right back right after this.
John Crawford should have never got killed. Ayanna Jones, Eric Gardner, Orlando Castile, Trayvon Martin, Darius Stewart, Andre Hill, for real. Too many names to be counted. We just count last year. When we gon'
There was a study that came out of Israel about natural immunity, and basically the headline was that natural immunity provides a lot of protection, even better than the vaccines alone. So as we talk about vaccine mandates, I get calls all the time. People say, "I've already had COVID, I'm protected," and now the study says maybe even more protected than the vaccine alone. Should they also get the vaccine? How do you make the case to them?
That's a really good point, Sanjay. I don't have a really firm answer for you on that.
The question is, what do you do when you start mandating vaccines and people who've had COVID are then told you also have to get this, or you can't work, or you can't do this, you can't do that? If you want to create distrust, anger, resentment, and then the next pandemic that comes along, no one listens to you, this is the way to do it.
And we are back at the New African Perspective, the show where we are dedicated to the liberation of new African people. We're having a great show so far. Man, it's good to be back. Don't y'all think so?
It is.
Yeah.
Refreshing. Missed this right here. So, our topic: what should we be doing in this period of rebuilding as far as the New African Independence movement is concerned? Anybody jump in.
Well, I know that for me, as we kind of network with organizations, movements who are saying they are about the New African Independence movement, it's a matter of self-reflection, making sure that you are still adhering to your foundational documents, making sure that you are working on all of those things that keep us separated versus keeping us together. There may have been some misunderstandings. There may have been some miscommunications. We know that we've had a lot of elders that are incarcerated, known and unknown. They claim to be part of the New African Independence movement. They claim that they want to be conscious citizens of the Republic of New Africa. We want to reestablish those connections. We want to make sure that we are doing the best that we can do. We want to make sure that our citizens who are no longer as active as they are know that we are part and parcel of trying to stand on your shoulders, appreciate the work that you've done, recognize that we have been attacked, we have been infiltrated, we are presently still under attack of COINTELPRO, and that tells us something, Sa, does it not? That this New African Independence movement, the New African Liberation Front that is spoken about in the Declaration of Independence, it is something that is so dynamic, that is so potentially powerful, that we're always going to be under attack, and we have to be vigilant.
Always.
Yes, and it's really important for us to remember during this rebuilding time. We already have organization, okay? There's already the ways and means in which the New African Independence Movement is organized, and the ways and means in which the provisional government and the nation operates, right? So we don't have to start from scratch. And that's the beautiful thing about it. We don't have to start from scratch. We already have infrastructure that has been laid down, foundation that has been laid down by all the founding mothers and fathers and the elders. And the key thing to remember during this time is, let's not reinvent the wheel, and two, let's zero in and focus. We have to be 100% committed to the process. We got to fall in love with the process. We got to fall in love with constructive criticism and self-criticism, because things fizzle because of assumptions, us not going to the source. I'm talking about as conscious New African citizens, not going to the source. We'll hear hearsay, but won't go to the source to find out what the real deal is. Keeping those lines of communication open. Remember, we are brothers and sisters. We are building relationship with one another within the different organizations within the New African Independence Movement. We're building those relationships because we are organized in aspects, right? We're organized. People are working, yet we wouldn't know that if we don't go see, if we don't go visit, if we don't build those relationships. And we have to stay 100% committed. We can't have one foot in, one foot out. It's not going to work like that. We have to be committed to this process.
I hear that. That's on point. Yes, definitely. Only thing I would add, and I'm feeling kind of weird because I'm going after the president, like, but the only thing I would add, because it goes back to my reading of one of our political prisoners, our prisoners of war, Sundiata Acoli, master teacher, great writer, in his masterpiece of writing Some Solutions, Things to Do. He said that one thing that we should be doing in this time period is spreading the ideas and concepts of independence to our people. So we have to teach them, because one thing, that I speak with one of our other political prisoners, Brother Atiba, shout out to you. Our ideology is undefeated. You know what I'm saying? We, like you said, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have what we need right here. We just have to implement it. And right now, we need to make sure that we have, that our citizens know about what we are, know that there's a reason that we need our own independence. The concept of independence should not be something foreign, because it's something that has happened, even throughout our time in the United States. There are times where we've had, little fractions of independent communities and communities, and we've always done well. We've always done amazing things when we were just left to ourselves to do for ourselves and had self-determination. We always talk about Black Wall Street, but it's a lot of Black Wall Streets that you never heard about, so it's not like this is something that can't work, but our people have to be educated on that. So that's my contribution, that we have to make sure. Then we got to get the young people, because we don't get the young people, then when we go, so does our movement.
And the best way to preach independence is to show independence. Exactly. So we have to be building our own institutions that take care of basic needs: food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, transportation, defense. We have to do that, because if our people don't see that, because our people right now are depending on master, that's right, for everything. And when we speak about those Black Wall Streets that was all over, independent townships, the Black townships that was all over, they didn't have nobody to depend on. They had to build for self. They were forced to build for self. So this whole concept of integration has made us really, really lax in being able to zero in and focus on what our children's children need, because things are just given to us, handed to us. We have to be in the independent mindset of we got to do for self. There is nobody that's going to hand us anything. We got to produce everything. Got to get back to that, and the best way to show that, we got to show that through our actions.
Absolutely, I agree with you, because when you talk about those townships that had to do for self and had to make sure that they still lived, they still ate, they still slept, and everybody was working, that was the spirit of cooperative work and responsibility and cooperative economics. We did not have this idea that we were going to be capitalists. Everybody was taken care of. You don't hear a lot of stories that so-and-so was poor and nobody worked with them. You always knew that as neighbors and friends, we were going to check on each other. We were going to have some food. There was what we call bartering systems. We did that. We did that as a community, and that's why we were able to prosper. And remember, we were the best trained enslaved Africans on the planet. We built this country. So every what we call vocation and skill that was in us and among us, we utilized, we built those cities, we passed those pieces of information on to our children. We made quilts together, we sewed clothes, we built those houses, we farmed, we did every lumber, horses, because remember we didn't have some stuff. Remember how basic we were, but I think we were, I know it, I'm not gonna say the word think, we were thriving. Those townships exist and they still exist today, but it's been reversed, and we have to know that.
Exactly. And you know what? Hey, I don't think we need to say anymore. We could talk about it all day, but hey, you get the point.
I want to say one more thing.
Okay, hey, you the president. You can say what you want to say.
This comes from our dear brother Akil, the African-centered mathematician in Philadelphia. He's always going to remind you, everybody is a nation builder. It just depends on what nation you decide you're going to build. Absolutely. Because how Mama Ayo said, we built the USA, and we still building it. Okay?
Absolutely.
Still. So, you got to flip the switch.
You need to say that again. Everybody is a nation builder, but what?
Which nation are you building? You got to ask yourself that.
There you go. Which nation do you want to build? One that will provide for the future of you and yours, or one that will provide exploitation for you and yours? The choice is yours. This is the New African Perspective. I'm Brother Prophecy, Sister Ma'at, Mama Ayo. Free the land.
I am, I will.
By any means necessary.
That's the mindset where the blind lead the blind. Been searching for freedom everywhere but can't find it. This miseducation got you blinded. Time to rewind back to the days where you find black people that ruled the earth. My people gave birth to humanity original. We were the first. Now we lost in the system, don't know our worth. Don't own a damn thing, fighting over turf. Tupac Shakur, yeah, he ought to be here.